Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's time for another overlooked but awesome card. For this particular card though, I would say the letters OBA probably more fittingly would be an acronym for Utterly Broken Abomination. I only put like 10 seconds of thought into that. Not a lot of words start with O. In a previous episode, I had mentioned that I thought I found the most broken card in the entire game. Oh no, I haven't. Well, I mean, now I have. Now, as far as overlookedness, I've never heard of it, which is pretty much the only metric that I use. I'm sure people have seen this card before, though. I am utterly shocked that this is legal in Modern and that I haven't really seen it in a lot of Modern deck lists, though. It has to be in all kinds of stuff. I just haven't seen it. This card should have been banned from Modern, but it is somehow still legal. I'm, of course, talking about Elvish Piper. Let's play Find the Broken Part. Alright, it costs 4, whatever. Alright. It's a 1-1. Okay, certainly not broken. It's an Elf Shaman. I mean, who doesn't absolutely hate Elves and Merfolk as tribals in Modern? I mean, they're not astonishing decks, but they're annoying. I wouldn't say that's broken, though, but let's see. You pay 1, you tap it. Oh, and you can just take any creature in your hand to drop it onto the battlefield for free. What the hell, wizards? You know, there's a couple fundamental parts to Magic the Gathering, like, for example, you have to pay for things and the cost is kind of relevant to its power. I don't like free casting spells, I don't like free summoning creatures, I don't like just dropping stuff onto the battlefield without an appropriate cost. That's just not Magic. That's not how Magic was built, that's not how Magic works. The question is, though, how viable is this? And there's really just a couple categories that I always use universally to tell if a card is actually good. 4 cost, okay, you're approaching a little bit high for Modern, but this is green we're talking about. A 4 cost might as well be a 3 cost. So I think that's reasonable. The 1-1 is a problem, and the complete lack of indestructibility, hexproof, shroud, pro colors, any kind of like flicker effect, nothing. This thing just sits there and hopes it doesn't get blown up. Now, in general, cards where you bring them out, and if your opponent doesn't take care of them immediately, like within 1 turn cycle, they will lose the game, those tend to cost 5 and up, usually closer to 7. So having this cost 4 in the most rampy colors, that's a little much. It's also not that hard in even just mono green to grant this haste, so you could use the ability immediately. Now, in the comment section on the Gatherer, the number one counter complaint was that anything kills this thing. I mean, Fester Gloom, which is -1/-1 across the board, that kills this thing. It has no means of self-protection. And yeah, I mean, it would be OP as balls if it had hexproof or something, come on. But if you have 1 mana, there's something in Standard right now that grants hexproof for 1, I think. There's always Ranger's Guile, that's like +1/+1 in hexproof till end of turn for 1 as an instant. I bet there's probably 3 or 4 more spells that you could cast for 1, maybe even 2 that would grant it hexproof. So the counter argument is, yeah, you can blow it up with anything, but you could also protect it with anything. Now, a field wipe like Languish or something like that, Drown in Sorrows, whatever, an untargeted kill, yeah, you really can't protect it. I mean, if somebody tried to Languish it and then you cast Titanic Growth on it to make it a 5/5, okay. But, it's hard to save any creature. It's hard to just take a blah, 1/1 for 1 creature and say, I have to save this now for my opponent killing it, and being actually able to do it. Being able to remove creatures one way or another with cards like Drown in Sorrow, Languish, Killing Wave, all the other typical, like, bypass, indestructible bypass, hexproof features. That's like a built-in, check and balance in the game. So yeah, something could blow it up, but it's really easy in green to protect your creatures. Like, white has protection from colors, black has regeneration, red has nothing. Just kidding. Red has emergency plus defense boost, and blue does as well, and green has, boosts and hexproof. So yeah, you can always, protect your creatures to an extent from destruction, and considering in green you can do it for 1 mana, it's just doable. I mean, this card really could work. Now, the other metric is, yeah, okay, you could only have 4 of them in your deck. Is there another way to do it? You guys know Willbreaker, the most powerful blue card in all of Origins, but nobody played it because you could only have 4 of it in a deck and nothing else stole a creature. It's every time a creature is targeted by an ability or spell, you get to keep it forever, like Active Treason, but forever. That is some crazy crap, but it costs like 4 or 5 or something, and as soon as you get it out, people just know to blow it up. And so you had to have 1 or 2 mana above that to protect it. Well, this card's in Modern. I mean, obviously it's from M10. It's also from 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th edition, which, like, what the hell? Why'd they print it that many times in a row when it's this broken? So yeah, you go into Modern, you could protect this thing for 1 mana all day. I mean, you look at Willbreaker in Standard, bare minimum 2 mana for Negate. But if there was like an enchantment that did the same thing as Willbreaker, okay, now you've got a full-blown Kidnapper deck, no problem. But there wasn't. So it just didn't work. So I looked around, and I'm sure there's multiple, but Dramatic Entrance. That's also legal in Modern. There you go. Pay 5, it's an instant. You may put a green creature, now that's, okay, so it's green, from your hand into play. That is like so much more fair than this card. I mean, Piper doesn't say, oh, it has to have power 4 or less, or it has to be green, it has to be an elf. I mean, all the logical stuff you would expect to put on there as a limit. They just said to cast anything, who cares? But I did check, and if you built a Modern deck with nothing but free summoning, like just ramp, scry, fetch, and then free summon and kept it green, you'd have some pretty formidable stuff. I mean, even just recent stuff like Plated Crusher and Gaia's Revenge, you bring those out in Modern, they're a problem. I mean, they're hard to stop in general. So yeah, I would say this card is very doable. So this card's easily removable, but also easily protectable if you have both cards in your hand at the time. But then, keep in mind, you also have to have an absolute boat anchor of a card in your hand at the same time. You would have to have, like, Emrakul, for example, because everybody uses that example. Have an Emrakul in your hand, and there's no way you're casting that without dropping it in for free. So it's just a dead card, completely useless until you get Piper. Playing 1 card down is a hell of a detriment, and let's say you get out Piper and you're just hoping that you finally draw something worth summoning because all you've got in your hand are Elvish Mystics, and then you never draw anything. Well, there goes your combo. There's not a ton of Scry in green. There's not a ton of fetch. So it's not like the greatest deck in the history of the world, but I still stand by my assessment that bringing out creatures for free is broken. It's just not a good mechanic. So if you're still on the fence, let's see what everybody else had to say about it in the toxic wasteland known as the comment section on the Gatherer website. The sure way to get your friends to stop playing Magic. Pretty much everybody and their grandma mentioning Emrakul. Other people bringing out Progenitus. Other people bringing out Darksteel Colossus. Let's see, this card is dead to me. It's a broken piece of crap. You can't enjoy a game of Magic while this thing is on the table. There's my favorite one. Why, Wizards? Why would you ever reprint something like this? Was it just to get Rebecca Guay to do more art? Because if that was the reason, I can accept that. But I refuse to accept that you thought this card wouldn't cause problems. Amongst those comments was a ton of people saying, yeah, but it dies to anything. It gets destroyed by anything. Absolutely, literally anything destroys it. Well, yeah, but for 4 mana, you can force your opponent to burn their most, well, maybe not most effective, but one of their removal spells. It gets worse though. You could use Chord of Calling to go get the Elvish Piper, kind of early game-ish, but you could also use Chord of Calling in like an emergency token chump block delay deck to go get something way bigger that you would normally free cast. And of course you could use Evolutionary Leap to go get the Piper, you could use Eldritch Evolution to go get the Piper. I mean, it's not pretty. You dump out a bunch of mana dorks, you dump out a bunch of tokens to stall and to drive up the Chord of Calling count on Convoke, and to chump block one at a time to keep yourself from losing the game, and you've got a deck. So overall, I hate this card, but it is, quote, awesome because it does something stupidly broken and overpowered. So, I mean, if that's your definition of awesome, hey, why not? I just included it because it's such an anomaly. I say that because basically most of the big free casting stuff like Show and Tell, it's not in Modern. There is very little free casting in Modern because it's so stupidly broken. It's more of a Vintage and Legacy thing. So to find this just sitting there, and I had never heard of the card before yesterday, it's just mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. The most mind-blowing fact about it is that they printed it over and over and over and over and over in a row, and it just didn't, I guess, break anything in those standard rotations. Maybe it did, I don't know, I didn't play back then. All I know is I hate this card, it's OP as balls, and you should totally go build a deck around it. That's it for this OBA, and I'll see you guys next video.